Welcome back, disc golf fans, to round 3 back 9 coverage of the 2023 MVP Open at Maple Hill, presented by OTB, a disc golf pro tour playoff event sponsored by Barbasol. Saw lots of red, a little bit of green on that front 9 here on our chase card. Lots more to come. I'm Nathan Queen, again joined by Andrew Fish.
And you are not wrong, Nathan. Even on a calm day, Maple Hill gives everyone the opportunity to alternate genius and idiocy, let alone in 40-mile-an-hour gusts.
Yeah, pretty wild to watch some of the things that happened and some of the things that it made our players do on that front 9. As you see, just 3 under from Aaron Gossage leading the way so far.
Yeah, everyone's going to have to take some humble pie at some point today.
And hole 10, not really a place to start that, I don't believe. 377 feet. Got to give it a pretty good rip to even get close to attack this basket. With the high winds, we might see some lower drives today rather than going up over top of those trees.
Yeah, Simon with his power may be able to still throw that big hyzer. Left to right, the most severe component of the wind on this particular shot.
And Simon indeed does go up and started it inside to try to combat that wind, but too far inside, not really going to make it all that far.
I kind of feel like at the tee and at the green the wind is strong, but there's not that much in the mid fairway. As Ben Callaway, threw it too well. Hit the base of the castle and rolls back into circle 2.
Yeah, luckily he does get that right roll though and doesn't roll straight backwards. Stays inside circle 2. Very well executed drive though.
Evan Smith doesn't quite get his disc up to flat, so he is going to fade into the woods, probably near circle 2. Sometimes the high floor and low ceiling make a challenging approach from that spot.
Niklas going to be trying to get back on track here on this back 9. Gets this up pretty nicely. If it can stay inside of those trees, he's going to scoot himself up into circle 2. Not quite the speed on that one that it looked like.
And great out by Simon. Gets to the right side, so his putt will be fairly level. Evan Smith with a decent gap. Can't go directly at the basket, but certainly can put himself in an open position with a tailwind putt.
Yeah, being able to go over on that left side, he avoids having to get above this wall right here. As Niklas Anttila does get back on track after putting himself in circle 2. What a putt.
Yeah, and taking advantage of a lull. Get the fans excited up there.
And taking the hard way up the wall. Climbing up there to grab his birdie out of the basket.
And Callaway, good line, but just not enough height. Perhaps expecting a headwind lift. Simon spins it over the cage to save the par.
Yeah, well executed scramble. Very out of position off of the tee shot. Had to hit a gap and still get lots of distance.
And Evan able to do the same. And now hole 11. Downhill drive over Christmas trees, 804 feet, par 4. Pretty generous landing zone in the short grass. And then pick your way between the larger trees and into this gap, about 100 feet to get back to a basket. A little bit of a left to right slope at the green.
I I think one of the more fun par fours out here. Really get to open up on your drive if you want. Then you still have to execute a pretty tight gap for your second shot. If you don't land in the right spot off of the tee, it makes that gap a lot harder.
For sure. And if you do just what Niklas did, put it in the middle, you know you're going to have swing every time. But if you go for too much, you can end up in some pretty bad positions, even if you're closer to the basket. Simon gonna go for a little extra here, bailing out to the left. And we'll see what kind of swing he has.
Yeah, still looked pretty well controlled, just didn't get enough right movement on it.
Ben Callaway, after a slow start, picked it up in that latter half of the front nine. Now going for a big drive, well controlled, sliding to the right. Look at that. Gonna turn the catch cam around. It looks like he has snuck to the left side enough to open up a backhand.
Yeah, huge distance on that tee shot. Almost doesn't need to be said once you see that catch cam turn around. But just to point it out, that's it's probably 500 plus there from Ben Callaway, getting him into a pretty good spot. This is moving too far right. Needed it to catch some stability, but it is gonna find that wood line and hopefully not get too far in there.
Niklas from about 375 or 400 feet and pierces the middle of the gap, gets a little bit of drag, but the late stability catches up. He's going to be somewhere late C2. Evan Smith, I assume that's Evan. I can't tell for sure. Has to go perpendicular to the fairway.
Oh, man. And he does look to have put himself in a pretty good spot from here. Kind of a hyzer stand-up shot. You see these two bigger Christmas trees here really defining the shot, making it where you actually have to, or where you have to shape it more than if it was just the gap in the woods, and he's pulled this too far right.
Yeah, once you have to burn a stroke, par your best possibility, bogey almost a more certain outcome. Simon to the forehand. And has a pretty severe angle on it.
Yeah, almost tomahawk. Was it tomahawk?
I don't think so. I think it was just forehand that he was trying to glide through the gap with the late fade.
Ben, after incredible distance off the tee, the bit of a patent pending type stance, able to reach out and put himself well into circle one, going to be giving himself a good chance at birdie.
And Simon with the jump putt approach and or bid. Decent effort at it, but will be in good shape for the par. Tell you what, wildly different wind conditions here than we've seen elsewhere on the course. This cove a little bit protected.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how up and down or gusty this wind is. As Niklas tries to give that a good bid, comes up just a bit short. Now Ben Callaway, our lone chance for birdie. And he is back under par.
Yeah, long road back, but good fight. Simon and Niklas both should be able to convert their pars, and Evan a bogey. I think you really have to take advantage of holes 11 and 12. There just aren't out of bounds to be found, so why not try to attack?
And here is the 12th 710-foot par 4. Throw an Anheuser shot over top of these Christmas trees and try to, apparently with the power nowadays, hit this gap off of your tee shot and work your way down this hill. But really, if you just land anywhere 50 to 80 feet short of that gap and give yourself a look down it. Going to be in good position to attack.
A little bit of tailwind. Callaway going to throw that same flippy driver. And plays it up the hill. Will leave a forehand or a turnover shot into the gap, or if he'd like to go over top, he could.
Yeah, I think ideally you'd like to stay maybe 40 feet to the left of where he landed at. It's going to give you your best look down that gap.
And Niklas, this is pretty low and turned. Probably going to find the center of a Christmas tree before getting back into the open.
And that turns into par mode from there. Do what you can to get your par.
Simon, nice and high and powerful. Keeps it high on the hill to start. And this also turns our catch cam around, though not so severely as Barella or McMahon have done the first 2 rounds.
And that should be a pretty good spot. I think if he didn't get just a bit too far left, he's just going to have a nice little touchy putter backhand down that hill.
And Evan Smith never gets it past flat, so he's going to trail down the left side. Birdie not out of the question, but it's going to take a lot more scrambly birdie.
Speaking of scramble, barely able to see Niklas here. He goes high backhand, just trying to get something out. And does have a better stance here. Looks to have made it to the edge of those Christmas trees, but still... No, he has not made it to the edge. He's still pretty well back. Now just looking to get into the gap.
Good jump, Paige.
And good jukes from both camera operators down there. Callaway with the turnover putter. And so far pretty well managed. This might actually run at the basket.
It does indeed. Draws up that angle perfectly. So much touch on that shot. And executed nicely. He's looking to go back to back.
Something I love about Ben's throws like that is how well he's able to spin the disc without throwing it hard. And you have to keep tight rotation to manage the wind, as well as not just fade out downhill. Evan, decent progress. This is now Niklas's 4th. Playing for the flex forehand.
Oh, and had a pretty good line, but needed just a little bit more flex on it to the left. Now we've finally gotten to Simon's drive, and indeed he does have that straight standstill putter shot.
But trailing down the hill into circle 2, that kind of goes like a missed opportunity in my book for Simon to not at least have a circle 1 putt at the basket. Evans 3rd, effective scramble.
Yeah, Niklas now looking at yet another double bogey unless he makes a pretty heroic attempt there. And now has left himself a bit of a tester here coming back for the double.
That ditch a common landing spot for errant runs, as Simon gonna find it also outside circle 1.
Oh, man.
And having to putt twice in a row.
Yeah, that was a pretty good bid there. Looked like he might have been using the tree as a kickoff point. Gets a nasty roll away, but able to connect for the par coming back. Great putt there from Simon.
Yeah, the nose up spin, and that keeps his round moving.
Yeah, he is still 2 under par. Niklas putting for double bogey. All
of that started by throwing his drive a couple feet low. pretty wild what a difference that makes, projecting another 700 feet down the fairway. Callaway with the very nice bird.
Yeah, 2 down, tied for the round, with Simon gonna put himself in the lead on the card. Solo 3rd place on the day. So Evan Smith able to tap in his par.
Hole 13, 472 feet downhill. We've seen the over-the-top shot with a big hyzer. That is a possibility with this wind, as well as throwing something straight down the middle here, and then trying to get it to stop. Basket on a little plateau, ditch in front of it, but then a severe drop-off behind.
Yeah, this is one of those holes where if the wind is up and you try that straight shot, you just see it bounce all over the place, no telling where it's going to go. So Ben Callaway going to try that big high hyzer.
And
wow.
Reasonably successful into the back of circle 1.
Yeah, able to get it high enough to travel that far before it hits the top of those trees. Pretty impressive. We've seen most of the shots going high come up short so far.
Lizotte. There's those wind bounces you're talking about, Nathan. Fights through pretty admirably into circle 2.
Yeah, very well executed. A little surprised not to see Simon go up over top as well.
It might just be that with more reps at Maple Hill, he's figured out that just going down the middle gets you the same kind of results, but without the wild variance. Early from Evan Smith, tracks down to the left. Spotters have a good eye on it though.
Niklas doing what he can to figure out what the wind is doing here.
And I really like that. Aim it at the big pine on the left and draw it off. Into the ditch, circle 2 with a pretty clean look.
Evan over there on the left side having to deal with all kinds of trees, but able to get through nicely. He's going to be inside circle 1 now looking for par. Simon Lizotte with the circle 2 birdie look.
And able to drop it in right side.
Look at just the floaty nose upness of this putt. Hits those chains so softly. Something, Simon, we've seen more and more this year.
And now Ben Callaway with his comebacker. Putting uphill into a headwind and sticks it. Quick turkey for Ben Callaway.
Yeah, what a putt. Gobble, gobble. Back up through the trees into likely a headwind there. And fighting back strong now into a tie for second.
And quite the catch on the right side for Niklas Anttila. 3 birdies on the card. Evan Smith with the easy tap-in par after a good scramble. Boy, quite the hole 13, Nathan.
Yeah, 3 birdies on the day. Or excuse me, 3 birdies on our card after 15 on the day. So our card really showing hole 13 how to do it. Moves us into hole 14. Another water carry here, 440-foot par 3. Wind dependent is going to decide what disc you throw, but pretty much carry over the water and then use that wind to fade back left and try not to get too far so you can have yourself a circle 1 putt.
Definitely a tail component. Ben's going to go Predator, playing for the late stability, and the wind is helping him get over there. It looks like he's in circle one. Good dig on the road. Lizotte, nice and wide, and just enough height to carry over the logs and skid her up.
Oh man, that is scary the entire flight, but you can't really draw it up much better if you'd like to stay inside this circle one. He just barely carries over that water, and we've got ourselves a whisker tickler.
Yeah, and just look how different those reactions were in the mid-flight. Ben Callaway getting lifted after being nice and wide. Simon throws it more inside and barely sneaks over. Higher and wide, and then some drops for Anttila. And a great dig on the road.
Yeah, drops down nicely just underneath the basket. He's also inside circle one. 3 incredible drives so far.
And early, pretty safe for Evan Smith. We're not counting birdies before they're hatched, but we showed 13 how to play it. 3 players in good position here on 14. We'll see if the wind will cooperate.
As you see Evan smartly and very quickly laying up there. Ben, bit of a testier putt here, has a decision to make and looks to be made aggressive.
And honorably done. Hits band. Like the way he controlled the pace of the putt. Niklas gonna stab in for 2. And just in time, it seems like.
Yeah, as just a bit closer, Simon gonna have to take his time after that gust picks up. He is able to connect. Him and Niklas both back-to-back birdies here on 13-14.
Callaway picks up the par. And Evan to do the same. And he'll take the short walk into the woods on hole 15. A little bit more protected. 322 feet, a par 3 over a valley. Several different options. Straight going to be the most popular play with a mid-range or putter, since this is playing with a tail one today. We've seen flex forehand around the right side. Flex backhand also an option.
You're right. Yeah. Get it.
Simon looking to go straight down this middle line, it looks like.
And he threw it so poorly to the left that he gets the great kick to the right into circle one.
What in the world? Man.
The course is going to take him away from you. In that case, it sure gave Simon a stroke. Niklas with the pure line, flattening and flipping up.
Man, I think it might have gave him more than a stroke on that one. That was first available. And now he is inside circle one. See if Ben get this clean line down the fairway.
Hyzer release, not quite flattening, but that left side often filters through, and filter he does.
Yeah, filters through and also gets a pretty friendly kick back towards the basket. Going to be right around circle's edge. Evan Smith, very used to shots like this, being from North Carolina.
Yeah, this is the easiest hole on some of the Raleigh courses. He's going to follow Callaway over to the left side. and should be putting 2.
So up first we have Simon. Oh, nope. Just kidding. It's Niklas.
And Alas going to chain out left side. Evan, there he comes.
Yeah, much needed birdie there for Evan. Been a little bit. As Simon is going to see if he can capitalize on a good break.
And he doesn't. Looked a little quick on the upswing. And let the disc get away from him to the left side. Callaway from just outside bullseye will convert.
And look at this now. Ben Callaway has a T1 beside his name late during moving day.
Yeah, and I noted it early in this back 9. He did not start the front 9 like someone who was going to have a T1 next to his name at this stage. So good on him to continue that fight.
Moving to the 16th, 476-foot par 3. In my opinion, one of the most satisfying gaps to hit on the course. If you're able to watch your disc fly down the middle of this fairway the entire flight and reach this pin, you feel like you've done something that day.
Callaway with a fairway driver trying to draw it left to right, and one sneaky little gap over there, but exactly the action you envision into circle 2.
Evan Smith gets pretty good line off also. Needs this to check up late though. And it does catch a tree to avoid that OB left side. Gonna be looking at the range.
Lizotte playing that center gap as well. Just skirts by a couple trees and into circle 1.
Oh, and Simon's gonna feel like he's done something today. That's just how you want to draw this hole up. Beautiful drive there. Gonna be looking at a very solid birdie.
Yeah, about the same distance as his putt on 15, but considerably less stress, I gotta imagine. Anttila to the hyzer release, and there it is, dragging to the right. Everybody with very effective shots here on 16. Not an easy par 3 by any stretch.
Yeah, Niklas getting some good ground play there. Also may have worked his way up into circle 1. Evan Smith a little closer than that 100 range I was talking about. Able to pitch up and down pretty easily. Going to tap in his par.
Squishy feet for his trouble. Callaway. And wow, look at the putter.
Yes, sir. 5 down on the round and taking solo first place for the moment through 16.
Anttila with the tailwind putt. Gonna have to throw this pretty high. And able to catch on the left side. 3 of the last 4 birdies for Niklas Anttila.
Yeah, now we're starting to see a lot of green here on the scorecard after a bit of a rough front 9 where we saw lots of red. All we're seeing is green right now. And players are loving it, starting to fight back.
Now to hole 17, elevated tee and an initial gap shot. There is out of bounds down the road to the left that's going to continue all the way up to the green as the fairway turns to the right. Basket is elevated, a little bit of a drop off behind. Main challenge here is, what is the wind doing on your tee shot? Are you able to move the disc to the right without getting slammed down?
Yeah, that's something that we've seen a lot so far today is people trying to, or not today, but this week, excuse me, is people trying to move right and just not getting the distance out of it. But Ben catching a pretty good amount of glide until he finds the Christmas tree.
Yeah, that's going to cost him 150 feet, maybe even more, and leave his upshot somewhere in the 250 range.
This looks like a nice line from Simon. Also catching a little bit of drop and going to find that same tree, I think.
Niklas, this starts pretty far left in the gap, is drawing over. And everyone kind of in a familiar zone. Neighbors in the trees.
Yeah, you could see somebody's still up in there. A nice reset after a large cheer in the background. Evan Smith trying to make the correction.
And not that different than anybody else's, but he does find a little gap. We'll have a clean upshot. Niklas, pretty decent shot. At a minimum in the middle and safe.
Yeah, have to throw a little bit of an Anheuser into that green, but nothing too severe. Simon did stay to the left of that tree, so he's got an open swing. Gonna have to test this OB line left.
And he's gonna make the opposite mistake and pitch it into the woods on the right. Should still have a putt. Callaway, after taking his mark underneath his disc, to the forehand. And kind of tracking towards Simon in the right side.
Yeah, circle 2 may or may not have a look. Evan looking fairly straight down here. Just going to want a slight drift from left to right on this shot. Not too much speed at all. He's pulled this over to the right.
A pretty favorable reaction to about 20 feet or so. Anttila throwing 3 and measures the speed and weight perfectly on his approach to scramble for the par.
It's been pretty smartly not going too aggressive there, just going to lay up and take his par as it drops off very quickly behind this basket. Simon with a better look at it, gonna go ahead and convert. He's tied up Ben Callaway now. Both at 16 under par in a tie for first on the event.
Yeah, good for both of them. And I think both made the veteran move. Ben not being aggressive from a tough stance. Simon capitalizing on a better gap. Evan Smith is able to grab another birdie, continuing his excellent back nine.
Yeah, and fought himself back inside that top 20 at the moment. A couple pars and a couple birdies will lead us into the 18th. A 640-foot par 4. Difficult to get the distance you like to comfortably attack this green, as you want to get somewhere 100 feet past that group of trees that you passed and as far left as you can be. The OB late left has now come into play a little bit more this year, making that second shot a bit more in question what you'd like to do.
Lizotte trying to play hyzer flip driver, and he will fight through the right side to a pretty darn good position. Perhaps a little bit pinched.
Yeah, that right side a lot more open, allowing players to get past that. In previous years, that same shot not going to get anywhere to a good spot.
Evan, pretty big forehand. Makes it through the gap, and he's well back of the green. We'll see what kind of choice he wants to make, as he looks like he's right up against a tree as well. Callaway to the distance driver. This is drawing right nicely. He's even improved on what Simon had done.
Wow.
If those two know what each other's place and score are, this could become a little bit of a match play even as early as round 3 here.
Yeah, that was an incredible drive from Ben Callaway, probably 450 plus feet of distance as this plays a little bit uphill. Niklas testing this OB, but is going to stay in bounds over there on the left. Like you said, Evan here pinched on this tree, but still getting aggressive.
Wow. What a shot by Evan Smith.
Sweet.
From almost Nowheresville to on the green in 2. Quite the way to close out.
Has a very open angle over here on the left. This is low. Now it's turned over as well. That crowd needs to watch out. That needed a lot more height on it and maybe a little bit less steam, as a little amped up for that throw. Wow. And did not expect to see that.
That's maybe the maturity of Simon Lizotte. Also, the wind has been playing from right to left over the last few days. Makes it hard to get the backhand all the way into the green. And even this forehand from Callaway is pushed out pretty wide.
Yeah, we haven't seen him throw too many forehands today. And pulled that one out wide. Niklas, after going OB, able to get close enough, he should tap in his bogey. Ben Callaway looking to do the same thing here. Leaves that a little short, but he's going to be inside C1.
Lizotte close enough to jump putt. Momentarily delights the crowd, but going to have a short comebacker for his 4. Evan for 3.
To finish strong, Evan Smith able to connect. 3 birdies out of the last 4 holes. Fights his way back to 2 over on the round after a pretty dismal start. And he's going to be back into that top 15 in a tie for 12th.
Yeah, great composure throughout. Callaway, 4-5. High in the chains and sticks it. He will be in a tie for 3rd going into the final 18 holes on Sunday.
Yeah, even with that bogey to finish the round, he has done enough to work his way to lead card for final day of this playoff event out here at Maple Hill.
Meanwhile, Simon Lizotte going to have an overnight share of the lead. Sorry to see you go off of Gatekeeper coverage, but we wish you the best. And Niklas Anttila hanging around in that top 20 also.
Yeah, what a day for moving day, as we saw lots of red on the front and players cleaning it up a bit here on the back. Simon Lizotte shooting 6 under par, moving into a tie for the lead. Ben Callaway not far behind.
And still pretty tight at the top. We're going to have Matt Oram, Aaron Gossage, Ricky Wysocki, and Andy Marweed coming back to this Gatekeeper Media chase card in round 4. We certainly hope you'll join us. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all those YouTube things so that Gatekeeper Media can continue providing great coverage.
And Aaron Gossage, first round over par, has now fought his way back to chase card for a final round. Excited to see this stuff. Make sure you guys come back and watch the conclusion out here at Maple Hill on Gatekeeper Media. For Andrew Fish, I'm Nathan Queen. We'll see you guys out there.